Let's go, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. It is March 13th, 2025, and this is episode 76. As always, I am your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co host, Derek Kwan.
What's up, everyone? Ty, you sound a little funny.
I sound a little funny to myself, too. I'm not like hearing any background, but no. Been a little sick this week, been knocked out with a cold that I think has been ripping its way through my office. A number of people have been coughing and out, so hopefully everyone can still understand me, and hopefully I can keep my energy up throughout the whole show. We got a good show for you tonight as well, so not only do we have, we're running out of ways to tease Derek because I think we lit the fire, man. He's been ripping him off lately.
Yeah.
Congratulations. He won another tournament this past week. We'll try and get the secrets out of him. We'll get him talking. And aside from that, we'll go over all the rest of the results from around town and from Vegas, from the locals playing up there. And we should hopefully hear in from one Mr. Mike Nia, who's also no stranger to winning tournaments lately, the winner of the LAPC main. Hopefully he can find time in his busy schedule to call in. He is currently playing the big four over at the bike and or potentially some big private cash game, in which case hopefully he calls in and we can ask about all of those things. Aside from that, we had some interesting kind of frustration coming out of Vegas from a number of tournament regs and pros up there. Mr. Mike Holtz, Mr. Guy I'm less familiar with, Mr. Zhang, I think his name was, right? And they've been kind of voicing some concerns about the level of seriousness that certain rooms, floors, dealers are dealing with allegations of collusion, possible cheating things, and just general concerns. When these guys bring something up, they feel like they're being kind of brushed off, right? So they have some what they believe are examples of collusion and things we'll talk about. We'll bring them up. We'll see what the people think. We'll tell you what we think.
Yep.
All right. So, great show for you today. If Mike dials in here, and that's why you'll see us kind of crisscrossed here because we are on a different conferencing setup as usual. But if he dials in, we will switch over to the interview portion. Until then, the show must go on. Let's start with results from around. So let's start over in LA, where our not our number one field reporter, but LA's number one field reporter is on a tear. Mr. Kevin Taylor went up to the Venetian, and in his last three bullets, he has made about almost three final tables. So he went up to the Venetian, played the $600 bounty event, and he ended up in sixth place, I believe. Yeah, sixth place for 2,300. Not bad, Mr. Taylor. He took down the employee event. He got 12th in that quantum that we will talk about soon, and he got sixth up there at the Venetian. So very cool, very cool. And unfortunately, we'll be talking a lot more about the Venetian soon in different contexts. But I'll just say the room itself, and they're trying very hard. It's a really fun place to play for sure. So way to go, kudos, Kevin.
Nice work, Kevin. Good poker player. People may know him as the reporter for the Commerce and the Bike, but he is a heck of a poker player.
Yes, and he's showing it this week. So it all kind of like you. It kind of goes to show these good things, these runs, they happen. Runs are real.
Yeah.
Speaking of good players from LA, one Mr. Peter Cross, you'll know him from winning a big event at the Win a couple years ago, from doing commentary on Bally Live, from final tabling, most everything around here. Today, he won the 25K high roller up at the Win Millions for $376,000. Outright win, way to go. And word on the street is he didn't even pay the full entry fee, right, Derek?
Yeah, he got it through a satellite. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, but what an ROI to squeeze in there with like a 3K satellite, I think.
Seriously.
And parlaying that to a 376K win. Sick.
Yeah, talk about, it's like winning two tournaments almost like back-to-back. That's insane.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hop back over to LA, shall we? So let's start at the, unfortunately this week we really only have results from the win-in on the green. Luckily we have quite a few, so let's get a start there. Event number 8 was the Omaha 8 Stud 8 event. Had 39 entries, and the winner here was Jason Browl. So congratulations, Jason, on taking down that Omaha 8 Stud 8.
Nice work. Some familiar names there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Got Manju there at third place, and I not a couple other Linda Tran, all the other big mixed game
Yeah.
crushers there. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry, Frank. Pictures courtesy of either Jeff or Frank, and results courtesy of our number one field reporter, Frank. So here we have event number 9, the triple draw, deuce to 7 Badoogie, and ace to 5. Yeah, deuce to 7 Badoogie and ace to 5 triple draws. 35 entries, and the final 2 ended up chopping that one. So congratulations, Carlos Rodriguez on top of that chop, and Shirley Rosario second in that chop.
Nice. Frankie Odell, Kwok Lee.
Yeah, Q Lee getting 5th place. I didn't know he played mixed games at all.
Yeah.
All right, and Frankie managed to get 3rd without getting thrown out. He's much more amenable to the folks here.
Yeah.
Event 10, the Torse, which is horse except with triple draw, which I think sounds amazing. I don't want to play limit hold'em. I'd much rather play triple draw if I were going to play these. Anyways, the final 2 chopped in this one again. Yep, final 2. Oh no, what they did is they adjusted the payouts and played it. So final 2. So congratulations to Matthew Kursar, the winner, and Sean SFYU getting 2nd place in that thing. Congratulations. And our friend of the pod, Mr. Hambone, got paid the bubble on this in 6th place. So way to cash.
Nice work. Looks like it says Jamie Hammy, but
Jamie Hammy. Oh boy.
Jamie Hammy.
Jamie Hammy. That's got a ring to it. Jamie Hammy.
Nice work, buddy.
All right. So event number 11, the $500 limit 8 or better, drew 24 entries. So these mixed game tournaments here at the bike, they didn't get a big turnout. I don't know if that's indicative of anything, but the the ones at at Commerce they led off with a slightly bigger turnout. They started tapering off, so I wonder if people are getting tired of them, or if that's really strange because the bike runs a great, just have to say the bike series so far has felt really smooth, it's felt really tight, really well run so far, really good, unfortunate contrast to the chaos or the craziness we kept seeing. It seemed like happening over at Commerce every week. So, event 11, the limit 8 or better, 24 entries. The winner was Rick Yang Sung Woo. Apparently he didn't want his picture taken though, because I can't imagine that's Rick Yang Sung Woo, is it? The trophy's going to Jeffrey Hall. So this is Jeffrey Hall. So apparently all 4 of them chopped, and Jeffrey got the trophy.
Nice work.
Yep. So I guess if they all chopped, I'll read all their names. 2nd place in the chop was Carlos Rodriguez. 3rd place was Marshall Ragier. So way to go, guys.
Nice work.
All right, so this is talking about the 300K event. That spoiler, Derek won. It got up to a total prize pool of $423,000, but the day 2 prize pool was $349,000, which still beats the 300K guarantee. So, well done there. We will talk more in depth about this tournament soon. Little picture from day 2. Everyone in this picture made the money. So Derek and I both made the money at this point. He had, it looks like 4.5 times more chips than me, but we were in it. Kevin Taylor there as well. Parts we said got a good run there. Before we get to the results from that though, event 12, the 100K guarantee single day was I think the results are in the next one. Nancy was leading the way and she took it down. Oh, there's a spoiler. I want to talk there. Let's talk about that one before we come back. So Nancy took it down in a 5-way chop with none other than our very own number one field reporter taking 4th in that chop. Way to go, Frank.
Nice work, buddy. And nice work, Nancy.
Yeah, so this final table, congratulations, everyone. This was a big one. It was a, we have the numbers. Hold on. Did he set the numbers in this post? All right. This was a large one. They beat their guarantee pretty easily. Final table, first place, Nancy Madsen. 2nd place, Charlie Toe. 3rd place, Henry Lau. 4th place, Franklin. 5th place, Norayer Mendian. 6th place, John Misrain. 7th, Mel Gardner. 8th place, Brandon Gutierrez. And 9th place, Vitsly Gordichuk. So congratulations to all of them, and especially the top 5 choppers. Yeah. All right, backing it up a little bit, you see this fella here. He hasn't changed, he hasn't showered, he hasn't moved since that picture because this was lucky. So as you can see, sporting the new LA Poker Roundup hoodie, which I noticed we got a this picture was worth a sale. Rocky's going to be sporting one of these soon, I think.
Oh, nice.
So this one played all the way down to this happened over the daylight savings weekend where we lost an hour, and this happened all the way I gotta flip us back for a second just so that we can see the cat. And this one went all the way until almost 6 a.m. after that daylight savings time change, and it went to a three-way chop between Derek and Richard Hasnep, who immediately on the next day went over to Commerce to play in their free roll,
Unbelievable.
the
My
hourly
brain was
free
shot
roll.
for 2 days, and Richard was out there grinding a free roll in the
Not
States.
not only grinding it, final tabling that free roll, which probably had 200 plus players in it. And other person chopping was Marvin Flores. So way to go, all of you three. The rest of the final table, fourth place was Lam Win, who was also back at the bike the following day after being up at least 4:30, because I know his ace king busted by jacks on one of my bullets. And then in fifth place, Alfred Cho. Sixth place, Samuel Wong. Seventh place, Vong Do. Eighth place, Huey Lam and Hui Lam. And ninth place, Tobias Eccleshall. Congratulations to all of you guys. All right, let's see. Are there any other results? There are some more results, so let's keep going. All right. The Super Stack Sunday was won by no other than Uncle Paul Chowderson. Way to go, Paul. It looks like there is a eight-way chop at the final table. So top 8 chopped this thing up. First place was Paul. Second place was Emil hold on. Let me look at the bigger picture. It was Emil Abrahamian. Third was Max Mashor. Fourth, Milad Jorashi. Fifth, Ahmad Javahiri. Sixth, Brian Aronson. And seventh, Mr. Don Bolt. Congratulations, Mr. Bolt, who somehow got his wife to let him name their kid. Was it Lightning? I think their kid's name is Lightning.
That's awesome. That's an awesome Lightning Bolt.
I know, right? Can you imagine how he got
that kid is definitely going to be a professional athlete with a name like that. Yeah.
He is winning. His wife let him name their kid Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Eighth place, Felipe Malara, and ninth place, Ann Liu. Now, look, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe 2 a.m. is later than it seemed. This was a Sunday, so I see the motivation. But if I'm the bottom 3 guys here, I don't want to chop yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm greedy. But still, not bad. 2 a.m. on a Sunday. I totally get it. We got work in the morning. It's all right, guys.
Yep.
Way to go, everyone. Congrats, Paul.
Nice work.
All right. This was the 50K free roll was going on that day as well. But I think he has actually the full results over here. Yep. So the 50K free roll was happening here as well as one at the Commerce, splitting the free roll players. So congratulations to everyone who played this free roll. You got there by playing a bunch of the weekend tournaments, Saturday, Sunday tournaments, or by playing a lot of hours of cash. So first place was Miguel Chavez, pictured here. Second place was Michael Landucci. Third place, Yong Sang Kim, and it looks like it was a top 3 chop there to finish that off. Fourth place, Jae Guk Peng. Fifth place, Lila Habibab Badi. Sixth place, my buddy Andrew Byun. And seventh, Alberto Lopez Kwan. Eighth place, Some Seto. And ninth place, Antonio Flores. So congratulations to all the free roll final tablists.
Nice work.
All right. Back to the mixed games. Event 15 was the Beast, which is Badugi, Stud High Low, Ace to 5 Low, Stud, and Deuce to 7 Triple Draw. So 30 entries here, and it ended in a heads-up chop between Tex C. Vargas and a chip leader, Alex Ferrari. So way to go to you two. Alex took home the trophy here. Looks like Mir Gascari and Sean also cashed this thing.
Nice. Looks like a who's who.
Yeah.
Of a final table.
So speaking of a who's of final table, one we left off the list to mention when we were going through Vegas, the $2 million Guarantee Win Millions Championship main event attracted over 1,000 entries. And in this top final table, we have none other than local Elvin Bayo Santos. He's been going up to LA to grab the money and bring it back to us. He's been doing a great job. So between these guys, we got Peter up there, we got Kevin up there, we got Elvin up there, and Elvin made the final table, finished in I thought that Frank would have it. I believe he finished in 7th place, so congratulations to Elvin. And also of note here, the eventual 2nd place finisher, I believe Cecile Ticherfantine, she final tabled our LAPC main event. So we are part of her. We were part of her kind of America, LA, Vegas swing action here, and she's been killing it. So way to go.
Yeah. What a year Elvin is having as well.
Yeah, of course, and it's just getting going. You should be one to talk, my friend. You guys are on quite a trajectory.
Yeah.
All right. So on Tuesday, Event 16, Limit Triple Draw, had 28 entries, and the final table here included Mr. Brian Hastings. So, first place in this event went to Ralph Porter. Apparently, he goes by Rep. Second place was Sean SFYU. Third place, Gina Hecht. Fourth, Ryan Coe. And fifth, Brian Hastings. So, congratulations. And Beth Hall decided to play the Limit Triple Draw event and got 6, just missing the money. So, she's
Nice
getting in
work,
those
girl.
mixed game streets. Look out, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, she even wore a hoodie. That should definitely have counted as mid cash.
Yeah.
All right, event 17, Limit Stud, 8 Omaha 8 or better, 24 entries, 3-way chop among Gabriel Garcia, Armin Hapokian, and Philip Wexler, who had the top stack and got the win. So congratulations to Philip. This is
Nice
his
job.
5th tournament victory in the last 6 months, apparently.
Wow, that is impressive.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. He might be keeping up with Kathy at that point.
Yeah.
All right, that is it for results that we have currently, and that's not bad. Now, obviously, the reason we don't have any results from the Gardens this week is because Kevin has a new job, and he has been spending his time down at Commerce. So I haven't seen any pictures from Commerce of winners there. I'm sure once he's allowed to or gets to go ahead, he'll start doing that. But as of yet, I have not seen him posting any winners from the Commerce. All right. Now that we've gone through the results, let's circle back a little bit to this 300K. So this 300K was unique. It was the first time they've tried this smaller buy-in, smaller stack for day 2. It was, somewhat a relatively small first day 1 buy-ins, which the openers tend to be. And Derek crushed it, got top 3, got the thing. So let's talk about our thoughts on the structure. Let's start with the day 2 buy-in. I will give my thoughts on the day 2 buy-in since you didn't need to use it. I fired, I think I fired like 2 bullets into the day 1s, didn't make it through. Or did I fire more? I don't remember. I don't think I played too much on the day 1s because day 2 was on Saturday, which is great. So I did a direct day 2 buy-in. And you know what? I'm not sure if the dollar amount is correct, but I suspect it's not too far off. And personally, I thought it was great. I think it was fine. Coming in with 33 big blinds it's plenty. It's enough. It gives you a chance to spin for sure, and it feels no different than a late buy into a tournament. It makes it into like it's a 1K where you're doing a late buy, and that felt fair. The nice thing about it was they adjusted the min cash formula. So typically, what they would do before, I guess, was take all the day 1 entries and then take all the day 2 direct buys and take that number, and a third of that number would get the min cash. But that min cash would be less than the day 2 buy-in by a considerable amount, which was always kind of a feel bad, right? Everyone kind of hates buying min cashing for less than your buy-in, no matter what way you bought in. This way, the way they did it was since you got 1/3 of a starting stack, they took all the day 2 buy-ins, divided that number by 3, and then added it to the day 1 guys who made it through, the day 2ers, and they took a third of that number for the min cash. And that number ended up being, I think it was like 50 something. It felt more like 18 or 17% of the field that was in there getting in. And the min cash amount ended up being like 1,100. Well, actually, I should know I got it because I bubbled the first pay jump. It was like 1,190 or something, which is more than the 890 that the day 2 buy-in was. So I think I like it. I liked how this felt a lot. I was really card dead for a long time. I thought I was just gonna have to buy in twice, but I got down to like 8, 9, 10 big blinds before starting to spin it up, and I was able to spin it up to almost $1 million at one point when it was still relevant.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so there's plenty to work with, and I don't know if we did the numbers or the math, if any of the people who made the final table had bought in direct day 2, but there's certainly wasn't anything stopping me other than the way the cards fell right after we cashed from being able to get there. I had plenty of chips, and I know several other folks were able to spin up a pretty good stack in a pretty normal way. So I think this is good. I like this. What are your thoughts?
100%. And by the way, my cat just spilled a bunch of beer, so I apologize that I'm wiping stuff. Anyways, I think when we are judging whether something is good or not, Ty and I always try to not go with personal preference and more like, what's for the greater good. And the greater good is always going to be, what's happening with, Rex. And this just felt fair. You have crushers, like Ty, like Jarrett buying in, and they just have to sit with the 30 BB stack and figure out how to spin it up and grind it up, right? that feels fair. Coming in and just being able to buy them for 70 BBs did not feel fair. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, and you certainly didn't mind a bunch of short stacks coming into your table once you hit a couple good hands and were
Yeah,
massively out chipping everyone, right?
yeah. But like as I was saying, I know that was like sort of a half in jest, but even if that weren't the case, I still feel like like that this was probably the right thing to do. Like you were mentioning, it just did feel like a normal-ish day two buy-in, right? And it wasn't like a direct buy-in; it was just like a late reg.
Yeah. No, and I heard several stories of people who were, they'd have a bad beat story of someone who came in the late reg, and the end of the story, they still had chips left because they had ground their way in from day one. They had a lot more chips, like, I lost
Yeah,
this pot, he jammed. It was like a 450K pot. And it's like, yeah, but you still have 200K and you're still alive.
right,
So it's like you get that edge by playing through the day one, by being able to withstand that hit and take that
right,
beat or, whatever. So
exactly.
definitely enjoyed that. All right. So after we hit the money, I had a nasty run of hands. My queens didn't win. I think my queens didn't win. My big combo draw didn't hit. And my ace king lost to 5, so I was out. So the rest of the tournament, we're gonna have to go off of your experiences. So I know going deep into the night, things were kind of off. I know when we looked at the schedule initially, and I had just assumed day 3 was going to be on Sunday. I think we both assumed that when we went over the schedule originally.
Yeah. Um, I when I read it, basically what I saw was that it's supposed to end on. Actually, I think the schedule only just said play to winner on day two, and then maybe something like day three if necessary. It was almost like a side like breath, like
Huh.
day three if necessary. So the expectations seem to have been ended on that day. And I remember, and actually, if you guys go and watch my vlog on Instagram on my day two, like I actually say in my car, this is supposed to end today. I don't think that's going to happen. There'll most likely be a day three. We'll see what happens. But obviously that wasn't exactly what happened.
Yeah, at the beginning of the event, I remember Jeff announcing this event will play down to a winner today, and I was
Yeah.
thinking like, really?
What are you talking about?
Are you expecting no one to buy in? Like, what's
Right.
happening?
I mean, I knew it was going to be. I think we all knew it was going to be a huge amount of people buying in for that number. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought they specifically put it on. When we looked at the schedule, I remember thinking they specifically put it on Saturday. How great, because they know they're going to use a Sunday.
Yeah.
Anyways, and also the double whammy of it being daylight savings weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, did you guys feel it when it hit that? So what would have been really funny is if when daylight savings clicked over, you guys lost a level. Wouldn't that have been funny? Like there'd be
That would
like
have been
40 minutes left in the level, but as soon as the
that's
daylight
funny.
savings clicked, it was like click, and now you lose an hour and a half in
Yeah.
tournament time. You're level and a half forwards.
That should be a fun proposal, right?
Yeah,
For
and then you
tournament
play
chapter
you play
chapter one
tournament over
players.
the other one, and you get a level back.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely brutal. I think all of us at the final table were feeling it because, I mean, I'd probably go back and check my Twitter, but I feel like that final table came, pretty late as it was. I think we're all kind of wondering how late was this actually going to go. Larry, to his point, and I think he went and cleared this with Jeff, was like, hey, if this is running kind of late, you guys want to come back for day three, we will entertain it. We can just discuss it then. And I was like, great. So it looks like you're flexible to it. But it ended up that the kid who finished in second place, younger kid, I think the rest of us were, a little bit on the older side of things. He didn't want to basically go to day three. He just wanted to finish it tonight. And then we're all, we were kind of a little bit joking about how we're older. And he's like, yeah, this is to my advantage. I think he knew.
how
He knew what he was. He
how
knew what
old
he
do
was.
you feel that people are using that excuse on you?
You know what? He probably even didn't realize like how old I was, as I don't think he knew who I was. But to him, he seemed pretty young, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he realized that
it's
that
like
was his advantage. Yeah.
you all can enter the seniors event that starts in 20 minutes. I can't.
Right. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was brutal because it was an 11 a.m. start, and then for to get all the way down to the final three of us, that was a 6 a.m. finish, right? With the daylight savings time too, that was a ridiculous day, and not only just for us, but then for all the staff as well.
Yeah. That's why I was so surprised that it went on like that. The 100K was going on simultaneously next to you. What time did that finish? Probably like 3, right? Probably.
Yeah, it was around like 2 or 3.
It's hard to say with daylight savings, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, everything was a blur, and I was 100% trying to conserve energy to only focus on like what was going on with hands. I mean, Richard, who ended up finishing third, fantastic poker player. He made admittedly, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 mistakes at the final table between exhaustion and also the very confusing 250K chip. So these are all things that we raised to Jeff, where even like the dealers were kind of like being confused with the 250K chip.
Was it that it's an unusual denomination or a weird color? What was it?
Yeah, the unusual denomination. It was like basically having a 250K chip with the 100K chip and then a 25K chip all still in play, and it was like people were just kind of doing like weird things where,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, 25K and a 250K does seem kind of weird or
yeah,
confusing.
it got very confusing where people were trying to raise to like 40K or something, and we're all getting like super confused, or 400K and all getting super confused of what was going on. Um, but in any case, we ended up playing all the way down to 3, and I think when we got down to, well, let me back up a little bit. My day 1 was, I want to say, uneventful. Luckily I only fired one, so this was probably my highest ROI tournament if I go back and think about it. I don't know of any tournament that I won where it was only one bullet, and especially not like a quantum where you have to lower buy-in like day 1,
Yeah.
where it was $300. So
You and Peter
that,
Cross just did it. Yeah.
oh, actually, well, I mean for me, but yeah, I definitely don't have the ROI of what Peter Cross
Well,
just did.
you just add a zero to both of your things.
Oh
And
yeah, that's true.
it's
That's true.
rough. It's
Yeah,
close. Yeah. You might have him beat if he put 3K in to win 360 or whatever,
yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
put in 300 to win 40.
60,
60.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
you crush it if
60,
you
yeah.
just add a zero to both
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah, and also we got the $400 min cash before, and also the top two got a
Oh, that's right. You're
$3,500.
in the mega. Yep.
Yeah, so we're in the mega. And I'm actually curious what I should be doing about that. I need to ask Jeff, like, hey, if I fire day 1, then I make more, and then that
Yeah.
stack gets me past the day 2 buy, and what can I do with that 3,500?
Well,
But in
hopefully
any
they
case,
just buy it from you, but
yeah. So in any case, the day 1 was quite uneventful, although we had a pretty ridiculous table there. Where it was me, Rudy, and Mike Escondiari, where all the other tables didn't really have too many, tough regs. So it was just like the three of us just grinding our way all the way through to the end of that day 1. But luckily I was able to go through with the 400K. Nice, healthy stack. And then day 2 went amazingly well. Like, it was almost like from the moment I sat down, I started like running pretty well, getting pretty good hands. And yeah, I took a beat here or there, but overall I was coming out on top of a lot of hands, and I was very quickly up to like 1.6 or 1.7. Then I took a couple of beats, knocked me back down, but then I was able to grind my way back up, and I was sort of floating around until we got basically 2 off the money. Kind of a tight, solid player raised hijack. I 3-bet on the button with ace king off, and I think I had probably around like 25 to 30 bigs, 30 bigs. And he had me covered by, I think he had like 50. I 3-bet ace king off, and then he, folded back to him, and he 4-bet me, and I was like, well, Mama didn't come here to fold ace king off, but we're not actually loving this spot because because not to say it wasn't capable, but this really
sure.
did feel like an extremely strong hand. But I had to put it in basically, even if we were 2 off the money with ace king off. He sort of rolled his eyes as he was putting his chips in. I was like, well, you got queens, which is what he had. And luckily, I won that flip. That was a big one.
Wow.
That
And
pot
you won a flip with queens earlier in the day, right? A three-way
a
all in, right?
three-way.
Ace, king, and
Three
tens, I
all in,
believe, right?
ace king and tens,
Yeah, so
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
like, oof.
Yeah, so all the run bet I had. So this is basically what's happening to me. It's like I win a tournament and then I just run like horrible, and then I just like go and sun run and win another tournament. So I'm okay with that pattern continuing.
That is the way to do it if you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
But yeah, that was actually the second biggest pot of the tournament, because that basically put me up over like 2 mil, I think. And basically kept at a really, really good healthy stack all the way through, like the final, whatever it was, like all the way up to the final table. But basically when we were down to like 16, I had raised the cutoff with ace jack suited, a very aggressive player, 3-bet the button, and I had already decided I'm shipping this in. I think I started the hand with like 20, 22, 23 bigs or something like that. I did ship it in. He ended up tanking forever, got the clock called on him, and I was wondering, I was like, I thought that you would probably fold ace queen, but now I'm a little bit concerned that you're not going to fold ace queen if this is what this hand is, because it felt like there was no other hand that would think for this long, right? Unless it was like going to be like nines, I don't know. But he ended up going all the way down till he had like 5 seconds left on his clock, and I was at that point praying for a fold, to be honest with you. I ended up calling with ace queen off. I turned the jack and won a humongous pot, with like 16 left. And then that basically, a lot of shit happened after that, obviously, but that was another really, really,
I
really
don't
big
think I
pot.
remember hearing about that one in the group chat, Derek. I don't know. I'm just saying. I
Did I
remember
not?
I remember hearing about the bad beat someone laid on you for like 40K earlier in the day, but I
Yeah.
don't think I.
Yeah. Maybe I forgot to mention that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe Frank can back me up in the chat here, but I feel like he left that one out.
But yeah, that was a really huge pot that obviously put me in a very healthy position to kind of grind my way through that final table. But a lot of stuff happened in that final table. Took a couple of pretty bad beats here and there, but then kept coming on top on a bunch of other hands. Definitely go and check out my vlog if you want to see some more of the details. But we played for a very, very long time. 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. is a ridiculously long day. Got down to the final three at probably 4:30ish a.m. Grinded for an hour and a half, but
Wow.
we were just quite literally passing chips back and forth to each other. That was kind of what was going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. The one nice thing about quantums, the one nice thing about them is that they do have pretty good structure for that middle, like for the day two on play.
yeah, yeah,
You do get to play and get a lot of play, so that's the nice thing. And it's like and they get to do that because they don't have to convince, like they gave the Rex all of the chips on the day ones, right?
yeah,
So now they don't have to give the people buying in higher massive piles of big blinds because
yeah,
it's a big number of chips, so they might not notice, and two, it's people like us who recognize
yeah.
how it works. So and then they can make the structure.
Yeah. And it was very healthy all the way through. I think we were still up almost at like in the high 20s of a big blind down to like 27 players, mid 20s. And, we were still like 20 BB, 18 BB average at the final table all the way down to the final three. So we were like all pretty super healthy. But, the three of us really battled hard. Just kept passing chips back and forth, slug each other. One of us got short, would come back, and there wasn't like any massive all-ins where you want to flip or something. We just kind of like each of us just kept fighting back, fighting back. Basically, it was 6 a.m. It had like crossed over 6 a.m. And the hand that went down was I had raised with ace jack off on the button. Richard folded, the kid 3-bet out of the big blind, and then I just shoved and he tanked forever. He definitely was a tough player, but I'm not sure how experienced he was with like three-handed play. It actually felt like he actually sort of mumbled, "I have a huge hand." And I think when you're three-handed, you have a huge hand, you probably need to call that off, whatever the heck that was. If you're categorizing your huge hands correctly, or
Right.
he actually said monster hand. So I think he probably overfolded. He might have folded and
Like
I mean,
tens or something.
I don't know. I don't know like what hand folds there, but when he said that and tanked for as long as he did and folded, yeah, I wasn't really sure what happened there. But at that point, I was so sure that I was getting a call there. I actually did feel like he had like a pretty big hand, but ace jack was just too strong of a hand for me to just kind of fold or do whatever. But after that hand ended, I had no idea who was in the chip lead. I was just like, "Hey, do you guys want to look at numbers?" It was like getting to 6 a.m. We had like 10 seconds left on our next break, and then I think the three of us would have wanted to play it out. I think we were all like quite competitive with each other, but at that point, I think the young kids sort of recognized like how tired we were getting,
Yeah.
and then we ended up making a deal, and I actually ended up winning the trophy with a bit of a chip lead over the number two guy.
Did you guys run your own ICM numbers, or did you let the bike run their numbers and start with those?
We just let bike run the numbers. They see, yeah, because we were all kind of clustered pretty close in chips. It
Yeah.
didn't,
If
yeah,
you're pretty close, it's going to be pretty close, probably.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Richard was thinking about it. He kind of looked at the number and he was thinking about it and thinking about it. And I think he at that point was just so tired. He's just like, whatever, just fuck it, just let's just do it.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, because like we said before, guys, if you should never ever use the bike's numbers if you're a shorter stack. Just don't do it. It's gonna take them 15 minutes to run the numbers for you. Just get your phone out when they're reading off the chip stacks and getting all the info, and just put them into an ICM calculator yourself because it's their formula is just terrible. It's just all chip. It's bad.
Yeah, usually if you see me, pretty excited to do a deal when I am in first place at the commerce or the bike, it is because it's very favorable to whoever's in first in chips.
Yeah. So just do not do it.
Yeah.
Should more deals happen to foul tables? I think we Derek and I's stance typically is the deal should happen if it's a good deal for you. I mean, if it makes sense, if it's good for some life reason, or if it's good because of the situation, like he just mentioned, maybe it's you get a favorable payout, or maybe it's in for both of us, if we're well rested and we have the time and it's like a good time to play, we want to play it out. But like I just kind of joked about earlier, if it's Sunday night and it's getting really early in the morning and I got work in the morning, I'm going to be more amenable to let's do a chop. So,
yeah, the more that I get deep into these situations, I think all my parameters and opinions have changed. Before I was like, hey, if we're all really short, go BB average or something, when I'm going to make a deal because it feels like we're playing slots. Now I'm actually kind of realizing that people are not great at push fold and I have an edge there. And you know what? I want to play it out, right? I'm always trophy hunting. So typically if I'm not in first place, I'm probably not going to do a deal. Sorry. it's selfish, but like that's just kind of what's going to happen. But even when there were two tough players with a lot of money up top, I actually kind of didn't want to deal, even though I was exhausted. I was like brain dead. And I don't think the other two guys wanted to deal either. I think we all felt the competitive edge. It was actually, pretty fun, even though we were tired. So we were fighting it out. But I think the Ty's point, you should just do a deal based on your situation, right? Like for me, I'll make a deal if I'm in first place, and maybe there's not a significant amount of money like in the prize pool, right? So I'm not gonna care too much about trying to fight for an extra 10 or 20% or something. You know what? I would just rather get the trophy and go home. I'll probably make a deal for there because that's just kind of like what my priority is, right? But everyone has a different priority.
Yeah. In general, I just ask for an unrealistic amount over whatever I'd be deserving, so that I can just get everyone to just go on and play again.
That's another way to do it. So you don't have to straight up say no, just say something ridiculous.
Yeah, just be like, hey, you want a chop? Okay, but I want more than I deserve, so, well, you should just play it. Oh, or you could give it to me. You want to give it to me? Okay, go ahead. Let's talk.
Yeah. As we mentioned, we're a big fan of Jeff, obviously, over at the bike, the tournament director. When I was texting him about kind of what happened, how late we played, there should have been, a day 3, and the 250K chip is a little confusing. He already knew about all of it, right? So this is a really good sign of a tournament director's already on top of his shit. He was already thinking about, ways to go about it. So I very rarely feel like I'm telling Jeff stuff that he doesn't already know, which is great.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And that's really promising. Like I said, so far, over there at the bike, things have been feeling really smooth. They run a smooth operation, and Jeff's doing a good job implementing changes and listening. So here we go. Let's hope things are stay on that course. It's going to be really great to see that, the bike, and the new and improved commerce with Kevin and the helm running stuff.
Yeah. And I think, with how amazingly structured the quantums tend to be on the day 2s and rolling into a day 3, then I'm very sure that they're not going to have any stopping on a day 2 ever again.
Yeah, which is so funny though, because the first quantum final table I ever made had the opposite problem. We were begging him to let us play longer, and they made us go to that day 3, and you guys were like, let's go to a day 3, and they're like, it doesn't say on the schedule. All right. Well, speaking about floors and tournament directors who care and listen, we had some rumblings coming out on poker Twitter up in Vegas from a couple prominent type voices in the community, and they've been they're yelling about things that are pretty important: allegations of cheating, allegations of things that that aren't being taken seriously enough. Like Eric here is talking about getting cheated and really crazy floor decisions over at the Venetian, which is sad because I know they're trying so hard, especially in their cash room, and they have that new streaming room. He's talking about a situation where they were on the final table bubble and a big pay jump, and he said there were 2 tables going, and he says Spanish Pro just to point out that these guys are both of the players he's talking about in this hand are Spanish pros who seem to know each other. He says that he's on one table, and this other table, the Spanish Pro jams 2.5 big blinds in the small blind, and in the big blind, the Spanish Pro with the big stack folds. And he, Pads I believe this was the 1600 main event, and Pads was at this table, and he immediately called the floor and said, hey, wait, this looks fishy. Someone should look into this. And the floor basically says nothing. He said, like, I can't, there's nothing I can do. What do you want me to do? Which, to be fair, there's not much you can do, but he could look to gather a data point. But there's really nothing you can do because there are strategic reasons to do this. You can't judge what the cutoff is for someone, right? But you kind of, you could do something even if it's not much. Anyways, Eric's on the other table. He's getting penalized for this. His clock's running, and he's also on this final table bubble with everyone. Very important stuff going on, right? Okay, so that's one data point, one voice. Oops, sorry, that's not what I want to go to. I want to go to Mike. The other one, Mike, Mr. Mike Holtz, Mr. Brock Lesnar Poker, right? He has this long video that you should go and listen to. I'm not going to play the whole thing here.
100%. Anybody listening, 100% worth the watch.
Yep, it's a 10-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing here, but basically he's talking about being at Resorts World, and he has a myriad of complaints that he noticed while he was at the table. And I don't know if you've ever played with Mike or listened to even the Poker News podcast. Mike is very much like us. He is 100% about the integrity of the game, 100% about the best thing for the long-term growth and longevity of this game is for it to be fair, for it to be upright, right? So he's playing at Resorts. One of the things he noticed was that a dealer was pitching cards too high. He's sitting there. He can see dealers are flashing cards way too often. He can see dealers pitching so high. He can see several cards on almost every pitch. And he starts saying, hey, points it out to dealer, gets brushed off, practically, scolded by the dealer. He calls the floor over, says, hey, I can see these cards. He starts calling out cards. He's so frustrated. He's literally calling out, that guy got dealt a black 3. That guy got dealt this or that. And the floor comes over and he's like, I don't see. What are you talking? There's nothing's happening. What do you mean? But he calls the card correctly. And so this is one of the things that makes him lose his mind. He's like, why aren't they addressing this? Why aren't they someone could at least say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll try to pitch lower, or say, oh, the floor could at least say, oh, he's right, just pitch lower, change a little bit. But no, he's like getting insulted at the table here.
How is that even a rational response? Like who responds like that?
Right.
Like,
and Mike wouldn't frame it like, dude, that's you're exposing cards, you jerk, stop that. He'd be like, hey, oh, excuse me, hey, dealer, man, you're kind of pitching high, I can kind of see cards, right? Like he's nice about it. And then other things is this is where it will branch off into kind of a related topic. He talks about, and then another time he's playing in between these other two pros, and I believe it's from the same friend group as the alleged group from before. And he says, these guys seem to obviously be colluding in some way. Seems like the one guy, every time the one guy opens and the other guy folds, the second guy folds his hand in a way that the first guy can see it. And he's like, hey, I'm watching them. I see this happening. Floor, do something. And the floor doesn't stand there and wait. They don't sit around and try and catch him. They don't try and gather evidence. They're like, well, I don't know. If it happens again, let us know. And they leave. And they say, hey, it happened again. Come back. And the floor still does nothing, right? So this is also making him lose his mind. And then they're speaking to each other and they're looking, in Spanish probably, I don't know, in another language. And they're looking from behind each other. One gets knocked out. They start to rail each other, railing their neighbors, talking. You're not supposed to speak anything but English during, you're playing poker, but they're speaking other things. And we see this in LA all the time. And then he even goes to another table and the same kind of things start happening. One of the players comes, gets right up next to his friend, and is like, seems to be glaring at people's hands and cards, and they're speaking during the hands. And Mike's trying to get the floor to say, look, he can't be railing right now. He can't be talking in our language. He can't be sitting here. Brushed off. So there's this whole rant. But the bottom line in this one is, you have these rules in your tournaments and they need to be enforced consistently and fairly, regardless of whether anything is going on or not. You have a rule where the rail has to be clear, right? Yeah. You have a rule where you have to speak English at the tables.
Right.
You have rules where your job is to protect the integrity of the game. You can't be exposing cards, right? So you need to take these things seriously. You can't just come over and be like, oh, I don't see it, when the guy's literally calling out cards.
And it felt defensive, like they were being defensive. Yeah. Like, why would you be defensive of that when, I don't know how much more obvious it can be if you have Mike Holtz and like Patrick Leonard in your tournament trying to tell you something's wrong. Like, you can't ask for two more better ambassadors for the game telling you that something's wrong.
Right. Exactly. It's like, look, you don't have to just say you're right, but they're telling you this is something you should look into so that you don't look foolish when you get caught when they something comes out
Yeah.
that something was happening later, right? Like we're trying to help you, right? And we run into this here all the time at my table in the Quantum. There was a player who was constantly speaking Armenian to I think it was Kevin was sitting next to me, and Kevin's trying not to respond because he's like, he's like, I hate it when he told me, he's like, I don't like it. He keeps talking to me in Armenian, and I don't want to respond because you're not supposed to do that, but like he's trying to be like nice, right? But he doesn't want to respond, and the dealer told this guy 4 or 5 times you have to speak English at the table, right?
Yeah.
And this is what you run into here is like the dealer's being very good. He kept reminding him. But the guy, he took a few bad beats, so he got even worse about it. He's like still speaking. It's like, well, at one point, the guy said, well, I said this, and he said something, and he swore. He said, I swore. I said it was a blah blah blah, f and this and that, and it's like, well, there you go. You're not allowed to swear at the table either, not in any language, right? So, or at least you're not allowed to swear at a person, which he may or may not have been doing. And then he folds out a turn and leaves the table early. So the dealer saw this, was giving him warnings, but there's no consequences for that, really, right? So I actually called over Todd, and I made sure that like he knew about the situation. Like, look, this guy's been warned many, many, many times. He did the second thing that's outlined. You guys need to keep an eye on him, and he can't just keep getting away with breaking all these rules, right? He actually took another bad beat and busted pretty soon after. So it wasn't a problem for this particular event, but it's something that I hope, Resorts World, listening to Mike rant about Resorts World and that really kind of triggered me to think about like, this is what it felt like at Commerce for the first month and a half LAPC or so, it's just like, we would say something like, this is ridiculous. Why are you letting people pick their own seat cards? And then like the next day, people were like, yeah, I'm still picking my seat cards, right? Or like I would go up and they'd be like, take one. I'd be like, no, shuffle them. Why are you still telling me to take a seat card? Just all of this kind of stuff. So
it did take that gigantic row with Conrad for some change to be affected, which is unfortunate. I will not exactly like devil's advocate.
Clearly, whatever I have is coming through the microphones.
Yeah. But this is actually just me choking on beer. So after the cat already spilled beer all over everything, I'm choking on what's left.
Put a little cat hair in the beer.
I think how Mike is describing that situation feels very cut and dry. Obviously, we're getting things from just his POV, so maybe there was some other stuff that he's just kind of leaving out. But generally, that feels pretty cut and dry as a situation where you need to do something about it, especially when you're talking about the accusation that players are flashing their cards at a friend, right? That's like super cut and dry. But I do get it sometimes if let's just say you're like a floor supervisor or a dealer, right? Maybe not the tournament director. And then some players just like, I saw that person do something bad, right? You weren't the person that saw them do something bad, but it's almost like the accusation is bad enough that you have to do something serious, right? And all of a sudden you're putting this employee at the casino or the card room in a situation where they may need to make an extremely strong decision. I'm going to penalize this player based on what the 2 cents, right? Anecdote that some other player just said, right? I understand that you get into a tough spot with those. I understand why some people might back away from it. But we just can't excuse it away just because of that. Like I somewhat kind of get it. This is really serious stuff, right? Cheating in poker is really, really serious stuff. So I don't know if I have a specific answer for that, but definitely better processes. So I think to Mike's point, he's basically saying when we complain about something at the Win, they like swarm the video cameras and do everything they can, and then they just figure it out and they go penalize whoever needs to get penalized, right? I do think we do need that amount of rigor when these accusations come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about like you can't just necessarily take whatever someone says at right at face and just go penalize someone. I mean, of course not. That's why I was saying in that original example, even pads, they say this or that. He says, hey, these guys are colluding. Well, you can't just penalize the guy. But like I said, you could gather a point of data. Even if you wouldn't do anything. You look down at the hand. Okay, that hand's fives, pocket fives. That's a point of data. I'm going to remember that. I suspect now a little bit more, but I'm not I can't say whether that's right or not. Now I know, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. And in fact, there's only 2 tables here. Why don't if I'm the floor, why don't I stay and kind of keep an eye on these tables? Like, how is that so hard, right? Kind of like the issue with the horseshoe hand the other day. There's only one final table going on. Why aren't you standing near it? How big is this room? I mean, and if it is huge, why are your events so far apart? It's the final table. It must be late in the night.
That's a minimum that you can do, which is make the accused feel a little bit more heat on their back, right?
Right, because if they're not doing anything, they won't feel heat. They might feel annoyed, but they won't feel heat, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the other part of this is, unfortunately, a lot of these stories that are coming out kind of started revolving around sort of the same friend group, so to speak. So Holtz and
Patrick.
And Patrick and Zhang, they're kind of talking about the same group, which, not like, once again, these are their allegations, and collusion is impossible. It's as impossible to police and enforce. It's impossible test. So there's no hard evidence. But one of the players in the group is Paul, who, I guess, congratulations, Paul Martin, for winning the 1600 No Limit Ultimate Stack. And the reason I bring him up at all is because Paul and these guys do play in LA as well. Yep. So not saying they're doing anything or not, but maybe you want to keep slightly more alert in these situations.
Yeah, you know what? I think we all can take... Actually, it's very important for us to stay on top of the news of what's happening and what players are saying, especially when they're calling out specific players. I typically feel, obviously you don't just listen to what any random poker player says, but typically when guys at the Holtz and Patrick level are saying something, that doesn't give them a blank check to accuse anybody and we just believe them. But typically they're not the type that are going to say something, especially with their reputations.
They're not doing it for a petty reason. Like, they see smoke, right?
Right. And, we should listen to that, right? And, when I kind of think back about it, I never suspected this group of anything. I've seen them around LA, right? I play with them a bunch.
Right.
But you're right that I do recall there's always a lot of hovering and speaking in a different language, and I just never thought anything of it. But I probably don't have the eye or the suspicious eye that the Holtzes and the Patricks have. But I definitely need to grow that part of me. But who knows?
Yeah, and this is the point for the groups like that, right? Because there's a lot of them in LA, right? There's a group, like I said, that Armenian player who I played with this weekend. I was talking with some others, and I guess it seems like he and some of his friends, they have a friend group that is playing there, and they're fairly new to tournaments, and they do a lot of these kind of friendly things with each other, which I can understand as being excited for each other, but are also kind of suspicious, right? So for folks like that, for folks who are less Men the Master always had a big group around him, right? And then there's a lot of these other communities that play in LA who are always either really tight knit with each other. There's something to be said, and it's really lost on people who, I don't know, it's like people seem to think that because they know they're not cheating, they don't have to do anything, or they shouldn't have to contribute to making sure it's harder to cheat, right? So there's something to be said about doing things that make it impossible to cheat, even though you're not cheating. So if you can speak English, don't speak the other language at the poker table, right?
Yeah.
Because that just makes another layer of someone who doesn't speak the language think, are they cheating? If don't hover really close, get 2 tables away if you're going to watch. Don't be hovering and sweating every hand when somebody else is playing in a tournament. And then especially don't sweat every hand not directly behind your person, off at an angle, and speak in another language. Don't do these things. I don't care if you're saying, go, bro, go. You seem really suspicious. And if you do it a lot, and then you get at the same table, and then here's the other thing. Maybe talk to some players and some dealers about what tournament etiquette really is, because I think some of these groups, some people, and you see this a lot with newer players, right? Even in a cash game, people don't understand what etiquette is. And for me, and it's different in a cash game. For some people, in a cash game, you win a pot and you throw someone a rebate. That's no big deal. To me, that destroys the spirit of the game. In a tournament, these friends sit down with each other, and they come in, they sit down, and imagine in an innocent case, a bunch of guys go to Vegas for a bachelor party, and 6 of them enter a daily tournament, and they're playing, and for some reason none of them want to bust the groom, right? I mean, that's cheating, even though they're not thinking about we're going to cheat these guys out of their money.
Yeah,
Maybe they're
there
just
is.
thinking like we're at a party. Oh, it's his special. This is his special event. We're going to be nice to him. That's cheating, right? So if you're all friends and you're entering these tournaments, you're just like, hey, we're just going to be nice to each other. It's just like we're new. We got to get these guys. That's cheating, whether you know it or not. That's collusion. That's actually cheating. So you need to know and recognize that's cheating, and then you can stop doing it, right? So
This is also why the randomization of seed cards is so important. This is actually pretty funny. There was this player, bit of a reg, who asked for a different seat card after she got one. But her excuse was, I don't want to play with my friend. And I was like, well,
she's not cheating
there's that,
necessarily,
right? It's
unless they're both, unless it's the Foxens and they know their EV overall is higher at separate tables.
right. So I mean, you obviously just do the randomization always, and don't even let a person ask just because they don't want to sit with their friend. I've even seen people do that at the cage, right, when they're buying in. But it actually it made me pause there for a second because I was about to complain and say you can't do that, and I was like, well, actually, she's trying not to.
I'd rather she didn't play with her friend. Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, I thought that was pretty funny. But to the point, that's exactly why it's important that those draws are random.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's also kind of a cultural thing too, right? Because in a lot of places, or potentially a lot of things, like if you just think about when groups come, say, I don't know, like historically when groups come to America, I know I knew a lot of kind of really in college. I knew a lot of Chinese students whose parents were like first, or do you call them first gen, or are they the immigrants? And they naturally gravitated towards the same community. People who are from where they're from, and they're looking out for each other, supporting each other. You can just naturally do a lot of things that at a poker table are cheating. So you just need to, it's hard, and it's almost impossible to be as uptight about the game as we are. But
I mean, that's why the rules are there, because
right.
it's almost just like if you didn't know what a string bet was, you're going to quickly learn what a string bet is, right? And it's the same mechanism of just like learning stuff that you don't even realize is bad.
Yep. Because, so for example, some of the things this guy, I heard someone else say that, like, oh yeah, I played day one with that guy, and like we'd be in a hand together, and then he'd start saying in Armenian, I'd raise him in an Armenian, he'd be like, bro, why are you raising me? We're Armenian. Why are you raising me? And it's like, dude, A, say that in English, and two, because if I don't, that's cheating, right? It's like, and it's like, I don't think he's thinking that's cheating. He's just thinking like, man, no, you shouldn't raise me. Like, he doesn't realize that's cheating, right? So we just need to educate people and get on top of it. And then after that, there's no excuse, right?
Yeah. And that education bit is important, obviously. When you see that type of situation, part of you almost feels a little bad. You're almost kind of half laughing, like, oh, we need to teach this person why that's bad because they just don't know. How many people can feign ignorance and use that to their advantage, right? So that's just, zero tolerance policy, even if it feels a little bit mean, is really important when we're talking about cheating in a money game like this.
Yeah. So next, well, I don't know if it'll be next week, but hopefully we'll still have Kevin on soon, and we'll have to ask him how he deals with situations like this, because, like I said, collusion's actually impossible to police, but there are things you can do to discourage it and try and help prevent it, right? So it'd be interesting to hear his thoughts on that. All right, cool. So you actually you were already down at the Commerce today doing a little side gig. Is that that's right? You were commentating for what might be one of the more exciting cash games of the week.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I only saw some highlights, but holy cow.
Yeah, if any of you, want to watch a little bit of poker, and I admittedly don't watch that many cash game streams, but today's Bally Live Poker, I'm not pumping it just because I was on it with Hastings. It was actually like extremely high level poker being played by everyone, on top of the fact that everyone was a fucking degen. And it was crazy. It was like controlled aggro by everybody. Huge pots, super entertaining. Definitely just give it a watch. It was a good one.
Using Arthur.
Yep. I've got a hand here from the vlog to demonstrate what we're talking about. Let's see here. Unfortunately, being on Twitter, the video blows up in a weird way, and I can't seem to find my OBS. Here we go. All right. So here's a nice hand here where Schwan is in a what is it, a 3-bet pot with 8-5 offsuit?
It's a tough thing for female poker players in general. Like they have to deal with a lot of that stuff. And yeah, I know I don't even love it's a different type of attention, but like, when I just get bombarded with like questions about my, like even today I was playing 5-10 here and it says people asking about this little match. Like, 16 years ago.
Mr. Aaron Zhang from famous from his World Series run.
Can't imagine it's a lot of fun to
been crushing it on the stream lately. I think in the last 2 sessions he's up about 180 grand or something. And this is not that big a game. This is like a $15,000 buying game. To be up that much in 2 sessions is insane.
See this actually going fold, perhaps.
But here we find Schwan in a 3-bet pot with 8-5 offsuit and check raising Aaron on the king high flop. And you would think that might end it. And the guy who actually has the king, he's going to get out of here. So, not to watch the whole 5-minute hand, but spoiler alert.
Also, I guess they didn't give her credit for winning the last hand because even though she got a walk, like she still has the knit button and.
Oh, there's a knit button. They're playing stand-up game.
They were playing stand-up game,
Oh,
and that also contributed to so much to their decisions too. It was super interesting.
So she still needs to win a hand here to win the stand-up game.
Yeah.
So that makes much more sense than it did before.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that made more sense if you understood that.
Yep, so they're playing the stand-up game. Oh, okay. So playing the stand-up game, for those you don't know, if you're the last person who has that button by your name before everybody else wins a hand, you owe everybody money.
Yep.
That is a good point.
How much were they paying for?
Very good point.
200 ahead.
200, and there was what, 7-handed game, 8-handed game?
Yep.
Right, it makes easy to make
So
that read
if she's the last one who has that button, and she loses 14 or 1600 right away.
Yeah, that's right.
But apparently, that incentive makes Aaron think that she's willing to bluff it off here for what, 13,000, because she's gonna get it all in with him right here. She goes all in for 9 grand, and he calls.
So this was actually before I got on the stream, so I didn't actually see this hand, but this is funny.
Yeah, and he calls it here and holds. Yep. And this other one, someone bluffs into his full house of threes with busted gut shot straight draw. And this hand was massive. This is a 40K bluff, 20K bluff per on the side of the bluffer. So yeah, wild hand, but the stand-up game makes it, super crazy, and a lot of high-level stuff, a lot of high-level gambling going on there.
Yeah.
Were you or Hastings very familiar with the stand-up game?
Hastings is much more familiar with it than I am, but I know what it is.
Gotcha.
But he's much more obviously because he plays more cash than I do.
Yeah, are they still not allowed to run it twice?
They didn't do it at all, so I'm assuming that means no.
Huh, that's weird because it's cool that they were able to incorporate the stand-up game, but I kind of thought that if they could incorporate games like that, they would have got everything else approved.
Who knows about what these regulations in California are?
Strange. All right. Well, it looks like our special guest, Mr. Nia, may not be joining us tonight. He is. I was trying to message him over here on the side. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to click that link. So we will try and get him on here another time for you. Maybe we'll try and get some sound bites from him live, incorporate. That might be easier. So I guess aside from that, it is time to move on to the roundup, I think. Do we have anything else?
No, let's go.
All right. Well, as a precursor to the roundup, let's quick talk a little bit about the structure of the event we're about to talk about before I play the music. So just want to point out to everyone, there was a typo that they are unfortunately forced to stick to in this Big Four event. So as pointed out by Mr. Greiner here, the Big Four event is one of the events where it cashes at 12.5% and then you bag at 10%. And unfortunately, the structure sheet here has the in the money, actually it's just 12, not 12.5%. In the money gets you $350, and then 10% will advance to day 2 where you have already cashed. This was a typo. Jeff has confirmed to Derek it was supposed to be bigger. I'm guessing it was supposed to be around $500. This is a carryover from the structure sheet of the first event, that 300 quantum. 300K guarantee quantum. But since it started already and since they've already started doing it, they had to hold to it. So that is unfortunate. This is not a quantum. You should never cash for less than your buy-in. So
No, you know what? More money for the prize pool.
more money for the prize pool. It's true, but this doesn't
Yep.
cover a full re-entry for the person who min cash. So it's lame.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is unfortunate. And confirmed. If you look at the 50-50 or the 500, the 12% in the money is a $700 cash, which is more than your buy-in. So
Makes more sense.
yep. So that's totally lame that they accidentally had that misprint. We should have looked a little closer and let them know. We could have saved everybody, gotten them that extra money.
Yeah.
I do just want to point out though that talk about saving money for day 2. With you winning that first quantum, my dreams of winning every event this series is over. However, the LA Poker Roundup is still live to win all of the majors of this event of this series. So
let's do it.
Let's go.
Do it, boys.
Me, you, let's go, Frank. We can take down the rest of these events, no problem.
Yeah, and Jeremy's an honorary member, so
of course. Yeah, he's got to just start winning all of the remaining mixed games. So
yep.
All right. Okay, so we are still in the throes of the Winning on the Green series in the second major, as I just mentioned. So happening this week. So it's Thursday. We're almost done with the week, but tomorrow and Saturday we have more day 1 flights for that 400K guarantee, Big 4. They are at 11 and 4 p.m. for $400. There is a Heroes event tomorrow at 1 p.m. for $500, and then there's no mixed game event on Saturday. There are mega satellites every night at 8 p.m. as well. On Sunday is the day 2, along with a 50K guarantee super stack for $300. And then also on Sunday, what is this 500K? It's the 50-50, right? Want the right 50-50. The 50-50 begins at 4 p.m. On Sunday. So that's interesting. The first day 1 flight of the 50-50 begins Sunday at 4 p.m. So that's cool. That will be going on all next week. The 50-50 is looking like a great event as well, the 500K guarantee, and they will have 11 and 4 p.m. flights for that all next week. The structure for that, the 4 p.m. flights are... Yep, okay, I was just checking. Okay, so the day 1s for this is still a pretty fast structure, 25 and 30 minutes, but the day 2 levels will be 50 minutes. So that could be a pretty long day 2, but should be worth it. Should be a far too generous structure, honestly. Should be really good value for the $500.
Nothing can be longer than a day 2 I just went through, so everything else should be easy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they probably will break that one into a Monday, day 3 with 50-minute levels, I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So heading over to the Commerce, where the first official announcement from their new tournament director is an increase in the Saturday guarantee. So their Saturday tournament, the $250 buy-in, has up to $25,000 guarantee for every Saturday. The Sunday, I think, is remaining the same at $100, but $25,000 now puts it at a higher guarantee than the Bike's regular Saturday event. Well, there won't be many weekends where they both have their weeklies going on Saturday, but nice to know. And this does really weigh up the guarantee compared to, say, what's happening at the Gardens, where they lowered their guarantee for Saturdays. Now, Kevin does not have any results going on for the Commerce yet, but I'm sure he'll have pictures and whatnot soon. He's already doing some promo for them, as you can see. And this was him talking about the final table of the free roll they did. So over there at the free roll, I don't think they posted the winner. Nope, but that was their final table. Here's a video of their final table if you want to take a look. Cool, let me get that out of the way. I recognize that. Another tourney reg right there too. Yep. So on top of the final table list with you, we had another tournament reg there. So way to go, you guys. Heading over to Hollywood Park this weekend, they just have their regular looking events. It looks like on Friday, their 8K bounty. Saturday, there's no tournaments because Rolling Loud is happening down there. So there will be no tournaments on Saturday. And then, Saturday or Sunday. Sorry. So Hollywood Park, do not go there for tournaments Saturday or Sunday. Rolling Loud will be taking up both days. Oh, they're doing a private tournament on Thursday. I wonder what that's going to be about. Someone get in that private tournament and give us the details for the 20th. All right, over at Lucky Lady, they are still. This is when their 50 years Hustler starts. The 50 years Hustler series is starting today with a no guarantee on this tournament today. Tomorrow, 20K guarantee, $200 buy-in at 5 p.m. Might be a good one to go to later on in the day if you bust out some other things and still need to play. Saturday, 3 p.m. Will be their 30K guarantee, 250 buy-in on Saturday. So that's not a bad one either. Starts at 3 p.m. Plenty of time to get into that one later in the day. And then a 15K guarantee on Sunday. And then the guarantees kind of peter out through the week there. So this is their special events series for this weekend, the Beat the Boss signature tournament and 50 years Hustler, 50 years of freedom. I don't understand what that means. Is Hustler 50 years old? I don't know. So that is happening over there. And then the regular events over at the Gardens. All right. That's what's happening this week. I know I'll be over at the bike. At that $400 price point, feels like where everybody should be.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I haven't played a hand of poker since that brutal, Saturday into Sunday day. So
it was so brutal. Brutal.
Super excited to get out there tomorrow.
Man, if only you got paid like a ton of money to stay up that late.
To reward that.
And if only it was worth your time.
But yeah, it literally did take me about like 2 days to fully recover from that because basically I couldn't sleep. By the time like 8, 9 a.m. rolled around, even though I was absolutely exhausted, I was just like awake.
Yeah.
So I ended up just like staying up all day and then just crashing at nighttime. But yeah, it's pretty hard.
Yep.
I'm not a spring chicken,
Yeah, no, totally get it. Totally get it. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Apologies to anyone who's hoping to see Mike on the show this week. We will try and get him for another week, and we will let you know. That's it. I'm going to get some rest, try and get over the last bit of this cold before I head in there tomorrow, and we will see you at